On this episode, we're going to be talking about how squats play on the tabletop.
Dome Runners TV, your guide to the Underhive and beyond.
Hey there, scabby scummers and gangers. Crimson Oracle here with another episode of Dome Runners TV, and today I am going to be doing an interview with a couple of folks about the squats and how they play on the tabletop. Now, just as a preface, this interview had an issue with the sound for like the first 20 minutes or so. So we're getting kind of the back portion of it. I apologize for that. Technical problem on my end. And I hope to avoid that in the future. I've fixed my OBS settings, so it should not be a problem going forward. But it did cause a bit of frustration on my part. So I'm going to just run through some of the opening topics and then we'll kind of hop over to the interview. But before we get to that, I wanted to say thanks as always to my patrons, in particular Bjorn Vendelbo Schwartzbach, Dr. Toe, and Kevin Fowler, my vendor supporters. Thank you guys so much. And if you want to help support the show and help keep episodes coming on the regular, for as little as $2 a month, you can do so at patreon.com/domerunners. And of course, don't forget to like and subscribe on YouTube if you happen to be watching this on YouTube. Now, let's get into the squats on the tabletop. Making corpse starch is a noble profession. From the corpse fields to the processing plants, House Cawdor has the highest standards and the lowest prices. So come on down to your local consignment and get yourself some Cawdor Farms corpse starch. It's all that you deserve. Okay, so this conversation started out with a discussion of what drew people to play squats in the first place. And, there was, generally speaking, an interest in their, kind of newness and the fact that they were squats being brought back into the Warhammer universe and all of that. And the fact that they are a fun, shooty army, of course, doesn't hurt. So, unfortunately, that question got kind of missed. Now, we also talked about the skills that people like for squats and which skill trees they tend to use. And I definitely think that there was a consensus that Dependable Like Kin is very good. Also, Nobody Pushes Kin Around was also mentioned as one that's really nice to deal with the fact that the squats have a poor initiative skill and don't want to, get knocked off of buildings and such. So I definitely thought that was a good one to mention. And of course, these shooting skills are all very useful and can be combined with the squats to great effect. Equipment-wise, we went over the fact that all of the basic squat weapons are very good due to the extra rapid fire dice, and the fact that the squats are a very slow, tough army, so using them as a stationary shooting force is going to get you the best results. But there was mention of a specific squat equipped with two power picks in order to maximize the sheer absurdity of it. I should add that I am speaking to Caolan and Shane during this interview, and Shane actually has a YouTube channel, which I have linked down below. With that, let's get to the rest of the interview.
Oi, is you hungry? Is you in hopes for? If you is, then come see Lorp in our new location for Rodrin Up Pot in hopes for. Give money, give food.
So, in your starting list, this is kind of similar to what we were talking about, but in terms of like what kind of composition you take, what kind of how do you go for numbers? Do you go for guys? What's your kind of approach? And we'll start with you, Shane.
Yeah, it just feels like this should be an elite army. Like, I had a thought about, yeah, should you bring a bunch of guys, but you're just not going to have a lot of points to really outfit a lot of them. And when you have so many like, you just feel like you're obligated to really take advantage of just how much stuff you can put on someone. So by the time you fit out your heavy gunner, give him all his stuff so he's going to be able to do the job so well. And if you take a servo, the exo driller, you don't have a lot elsewhere. So I feel like it's better just to double down on just focusing on being elite. That's where I've seen builds like be really successful. So it's just good to lean into that, I think.
For sure. How about you, Caolan?
I went the other way actually with mine.
Awesome.
I max out the numbers, and somebody needs to be a meat shield. So again, push the tests to change target. So with this one, we're also running a 3-to-1 ratio. So you have to have 3 gangers or Jews for every champion that you might have. So there has to be more bodies, because when you end up getting too many champions. So like I was saying with the equipment, I run everybody with a very, very basic loadout. 1 leader, 1 heavy, 3, maybe 4 gangers, and then 3 or 4 Jews. Usually 3. And once I start making some decent income rolls, and hopefully people don't die on me in the first and second game. Thanks, Bob. Then
Selfish.
Bob took a crack grenade to the face, so yeah, he wasn't getting back up after that one. This campaign, I got an ambot. I was allowed to add an ambot at the very start, which was brilliant because the infiltrate rule just makes that such a threat.
Yes.
And
Ooh.
it's a great distraction.
You have to deal with that.
Yeah, like if you put it in their back lines, they can go, uh-oh. It's not that great. It can't shoot worth of monkeys, and it's okay speed. It's great if it makes combat, but it's a T5 with 3 wounds and a 4-up save. It's gonna make you think about it. So by putting that in, then all my little legs can run up the field and say close the distance and actually start getting into short range with their weapons and that. Well, so I'll prefer to field more bodies on the table. Again, the mission selection can screw you on that, but if you get custom selection 8 or 10, then rock the whole gang out, and then add specialization and elite choices then after that. Then so the exosuit or a second ambot or whatever. It's bodies, basic gear, get some XP down on the board, and start leveling up from there. And then lean into the elite side then afterwards.
Yeah, so the next thing I was going to ask is, what kind of stuff would you put in later in the campaign? What are you kind of building towards with your, your approach? Caolan, we'll start with you.
I'm looking to add a champion with a flamer, because I haven't tried the Firestorm rule yet, and it looks like fun.
It does.
Horrifically evil.
Really good.
I was asked the first campaign, like, can we buy flamers off you? Like, no. I'm not giving a nomad that flamer. No way in hell. So no, a second champion with a flamer with infiltrate rules. Again, there's a little perk that comes in the narrative that we have. Sorry, no, I can't give it to a champion. It has to go and drill king or a digger. But I want to run one, not a heavy flamer, because I want to be able to run and gun. And I think I can run and gun with a flamer. I can't remember half the rules. So a second champion with a flamer, and maybe a second exosuit. It's probably crazy, but it could work. That or a second alpha.
As far as I know, you can run and gun with the flamer, because it's not heavy.
I don't think it has a unwieldy trait. So
yeah, exactly.
But just to turn around, come around the corner, and just incinerate a group, and even if I only catch 1 or 2 people out with it, slap them with blaze and run away laughing, because they all take sustained fire hits with a flamer, which is horrific and highly entertaining. So I've seen what the normal flamers do to other gangs, so I'd love to try and see what an Ironhead does.
Yeah, I've been playing Cawdor in my current campaign, so I'm well familiar with the amazing board control that comes with blazing people.
Purge the unclean.
They just watch as they all kind of dive to the ground and try to put themselves out and just jump. How about you, Shane? What do you kind of build towards? What do you like to kind of outfit for later in the campaign?
Yeah, definitely just trying to get the toolbox. If you can try and get like maybe one of every weapon, just so you've always got something that can be able to handle it. Yeah, try and get one guy with a melter. You got your staples there of long range shooting and stuff, but just getting more utility is definitely good for the unexpected every now and again.
I've been waiting for my friend to pick up the Ironhead melter gun, because he's yet to actually take my Cargo 8 Ridge Hauler out of action, because
oh, you're gonna need it.
I foolishly sort of psychotically put, golly, I think I put 2 trailers on it, so it's like 16 hull points or something like that. That's the only way you're going to put that thing out of action, is either with dedicated like melt-a-fire or by like getting it to flip. That's about it.
Good times.
What do you kind of what's your approach for like a shooting gang versus a close combat gang? What's your kind of strategy, Shane?
Well, yeah, that's the thing about, I guess, there isn't much that can sort of outshoot it. Like you were saying before with the Van Sars. Van Sars really give the run for the money, because you can just load up so much plasma and like your poison type stuff. It's just sort of knowing who to shoot. You got to think a bit more when you're going up against an army that can sort of shoot, because you're always going to have more shots, but they'll have more specialized shots. So it's just about who you're going to focus.
And they've got that crazy ballistic skill.
Exactly. Because you're hoping for volume over precision sometimes. But yeah, like we were saying with close combat gangs, it's generally you can go one of two ways. It's if they get in there, if it's a big Goliath guy, then he's if he's made the distance, you can just call it there sort of. So it's sort of 50-50 times whether you can get them so they can't even come close to getting what they want to do, or you fail at stopping them at any point and they've just taken you straight to town.
Although
that can be kind of a struggle.
You might get lucky if they're not, if it's not like a Goliath gang or a corpse grinders, and your toughness might save you.
Generally there, but as we've always seen, is like sort of a lot of the higher strength weapons, especially for melee weapons, they're not just sort of like they tend to go overboard. It's sort of they're either at base or they're at something crazy.
Close combat is very feast or famine in this game.
Yeah, so having the extra toughness it's nice to have. You can last a bit longer, but that's their specialty. They're here to do what they're gonna do. It's a bit harder to stop.
Caolan, how about you? What's your kind of strategy in those situations?
Volume of fire, drown them in lead, keeping it again very basic. With a heavy server, you're reaching out to 40, so you can hose down most of the board from pretty good levels of protection, hiding behind terrain or whatever, and giving yourself a decent shot. Because they have so many shots out there, you can pin things quite easily.
Right.
So if there's a combat gang coming at you, you can keep them pinned, you can keep them under control to an extent. And early campaign, you can definitely rely on your higher toughness to see you through the worst of the storm. But when you start getting Van Sar, especially a few others, or even Orlok, what are they? The guys with the jetpacks.
Oh, the wreckers.
Oh yeah.
Wreckers
Yeah,
coming at you, and they're like, oh, what's their movement? The board. Oh.
Yeah,
Okay.
the fact that they could, you could kind of spec them out for, showing up and popping out and, blasting you with sawed-offs, or, going the incendiary charge route and throwing a giant template down that will catch your guys on fire. They definitely, they're a serious threat if the person is sort of equipping them properly.
And they are proper wreckers. They will absolutely annihilate you, especially with even their ballistic skill, because they're essentially just Jews. But once you specialize them, they can start chucking some serious firepower out, and they'll mess up pretty much anybody. They don't even have to hit. They just need to drop a template somewhere near you, and you're okay.
Exactly. Right. Yeah. A 5-inch template scatters. Oh no! I'm so worried about it.
Well, look, there's a wall. So
exactly.
If somebody wants to go toe to toe with you to try and match your firepower, good luck. Again, like Shane said, other gangs, especially Vansar, can put out specialized shots, so high strength, extra AP, whatever, but it might be single or double 2 shots. Whereas you could be dropping potentially 9, or as I only just figured out the other day, bullet sponge, or is it bullet magnet? I think it's bullet magnet.
Mm-hmm.
You add an extra sustained fire. It's like sustained fire 4 on a heavy stubber. Yes. So here's 12 shots. So for shooting, just lay down a wall of fire. Think when Blaine dies in Predator and everyone goes nuts and they just mow down half the New Mexico desert. That's what your approach should be. Overwhelming firepower and drown them in lead. You can use the same thing to deal with combat gangs, but because you can just hang back, let them come to you and create little fire avenues here and there and bait them in. The other thing that really ties in with this is they're small models. Like, use that specifically to your advantage. I've done it a few times where I'm going to stand behind this ammo crate and it's the exact height as my leader and you can't see him. And they're going to try and declare a charge, or they can't make the shot or whatever. And it actually factors in massively, because you can't see them, you ain't shooting them, and if you can't see where they are properly, you can't gauge that distance for the charge correctly. So if you can use the terrain to your advantage. I played, was the game before last was against a narrative gang that was made up by the player and the arbitrator, where they were freed slaves. Mm-hmm. And for 2 turns he had no targets to shoot. He just couldn't see. He was like, where are you? I can't see any. He had a servitor with a heavy bolter and a 4-up ammo roll, and he just couldn't see any targets for 2 turns. I don't know what's going on. It's like, where are you guys? Like, well, come on. Come where I want to play. I'm not coming out to play with you. So if you're going up against Goliath and whatnot, you need to start bringing some specialized stuff as well, because when they start running crazy high toughness, you don't really have much in the arsenal. Everything's kind of strength 4, 5. And when you get Vatborn hitting T6, T7, yeah, I'd rather go against a Land Raider.
Makes sense. Yeah. They're definitely. It's interesting to think about, like, because they're so slow, you almost don't. It almost eliminates that, like, temptation to kind of try to, like, outmaneuver your opponent. So you just focus on hunkering down and being the best gunline you can be, and that really plays to their strengths.
Yeah, and you have to resist the urge, like, oh, I might make the charge. I'm just going to double move up. Again, Mr. Picky is special because that's his job. He has to. But for everybody else, you have to resist the urge. You have to say, okay, I have to be conservative about this. Go for the loot caskets, play the objective, hold back, and resist. And if you can bring a trap or two, like, depending on Shane, you say you go elite with what your loadout is running bodies. It's like there's, I think in either choice with that, you still have to be very careful, because one start to drop one, like your bottle tests.
Oh yeah, you've invested a lot in this guy. If he goes down, that's going to hurt a lot.
So when that starts to happen, then like your overall gang performance just drops through the floor. So Yeah, it's
Yeah.
definitely used to, and it because it relies so heavily on terrain, uses advantage. In a gas, choke, anything that can pin. We've banned web weapons after last week because
Oh, fair enough.
whole rooms got cleared. Like what? But yeah, no, they're pinned now too.
The web gauntlet always shocks me with how effective it is. It's like this weapon is 35 credits, but it can drop pretty much anything in the game. Because if you just successfully wound once, then you get an auto coup de grace unless they happen to already be in combat with somebody else. Like, it's rough.
Yeah, how do you defend against that?
Shoot them.
Well, that too.
So, yeah, no, I think just the combat gang is definitely the biggest difficulty. So yeah, use the terrain to your advantage, hold back, and let them come into your playground and introduce them.
How about if you ran into vehicles, what would your strategy be? Do you think in terms of what weapons you'd like to take for them? Caolan?
I don't. Vehicles yet into the campaign, but wastes soon in weeks 5 and 6. But I'm looking at how I can utilize my leagues of both towns, the Earthkin Pioneers, and a really old Rhino that I have from Second Ed. Sorry, an old Razorback from Second Ed that I'm looking to utilize for it, because I'm trying to hold off on purchases until 10th edition comes out.
That's
so. I'm trying. I want to try and come up with again a fluff array of models. So 3 skimmers and a heavy vehicle with an autocannon. Hope it works out.
So
other than that, I have no idea.
I'll send you a link to the vehicle I printed for my friend's squat gang. There's like a really cool armored personnel carrier that it worked pretty well as a Goliath rock grinder proxy. It's like right around the same size. It's 20 millimeter scale, but if you scale it up to like more 30 millimeter scale, it's roughly the same size as a Goliath, which was fun.
Okay, cool.
As in terms of, I like to make the vehicles as thematic as possible. So like my Condor Cargo 8 is like a 3-story tall church on treads.
Perfect.
How about you, Shane? What would you, in the Ash Wastes, how would you handle your squats differently?
Oh, yeah. Because it's definitely, like you said, with the Ridge Hauler. Because what I love about Ash Waste is it's such a... Like, I'm a huge Western fan. I'm a fan of all Westerns. So, yeah, I've watched... I got a friend. He's got the Ash Waste box set. I've got to wait till he's back in town before he can really start busting out some games. But yeah, watching like people play with them, it's really got that old West feel to it. But yeah, you've got these gunslingers around, especially the nomads and stuff. And when you get the Ridge Hauler there, like it's a big, like 310 to Yuma. You're just waiting for that big train to begin. But also with that is, then you've got in the remake of Magnificent Seven, when they're holed up in the town, and then all of a sudden the guy brings out the Gatling gun and just starts shooting down through the whole buildings and everything. It very feels like that could happen. Like, you could just mow down, so all of a sudden you could just bring out a car with a big gun on him, and all of a sudden just, shoot through it all. So it's got that whole, at a minute's notice, just bang, stuff can go down. So I'd love to get more vehicles in. I'd love to play like a campaign where it's sort of vehicles only. I'd love to try make something like that, because that's what I do on my channel. We do Tank Hunter, so it's Kill Team just with tanks.
Nice.
And that's been really fun. We've had a lot of fun with that, because in current 40k you can't use vehicles and tanks very well at all. They just die really quick.
Yeah.
So
it's funny you mentioned that, like playing with just vehicles only campaign, because like I definitely, when I first sort of picked up the Ash Waste box and started playtesting with it, it was like, oh, this could totally work as like a car combat game, like without
definitely.
without infantry models. It would be a
you can bring Bork and Morka back to that.
It would be like a very kind of like fast paced, kind of crazy.
Definitely. Yeah, like Mad Max style. You just
Car Wars or whatever the gosh.
I would love that. I would be so into that.
Carmageddon.
Yes,
yeah.
Carmageddon. Did you guys see they're doing a Speed Freaks video game? So you're gonna get to drive around in all the different different dragsters and stuff. Oh, I'm so excited for that one. Like I love car combat games, and like that genre seems to have like really kind of cooled off. Twisted Metal's not, or Carmageddon, like those games just aren't really a big thing anymore. Interstate 76, all that stuff, the 90s was like the golden era of car combat games.
Ooh.
I adored it. It was mental. Oh, so fun turrets.
But yeah, I definitely will say, if you wind up in the Ash Waste, the getting a vehicle with a transport bed and popping your squats into the bed, you become an absolute bastard, because like you have all the speed of a vehicle, and then you've got the like stationary platform that your guys are shooting off of. So like it's the best of both worlds, and you're kind of insulated from close combat unless they've got a vehicle that they can jump from to like get onto your vehicle. So like
you've just eliminated all your weaknesses.
Oh, it's glorious.
Something to bear in mind as I create a custom vehicle.
Exactly.
Definitely.
Exactly. All right, so we're kind of wrapping up the gameplay portion. Just for a fun question, what would be models that you'd want to convert into your squat gang? And we'll start with you, Caolan.
Votan and Cardon over, obvious choice for aesthetics and whatever. I've been told with maybe using an amp and convert maybe down, tidying, making it match the aesthetic. I like the mono poses is kind of tricky. Scale difference between everyone is a bit like you can't even proxy in the difference. It's tricky, but no. So just the main is the Votan and Cara to go on to the actual body to add a little more flair. I've just been looking at a few that run for heavy weapons teams and stuff, so you can put it.
All right, and Shane, how about you? Any conversions that you'd be eyeing for the squats?
Well, what I ended up doing was with my older Orlocks. Like I said, I was playing them, and they didn't feel right for me in the end. Because I had the old fantasy dwarfs, and I ended up just putting a lot of their guns and their weaponry, and I just sort of rigged out some old fantasy dwarfs. Some of them just the simple monopose ones, and I just rigged them out like that. It actually works, because you're in it's high futuristic tech, but they're just taking whatever scrap they got together. So they're gonna look sort of ragtag and out of place in the future. So it actually fit for a lot of them.
For me personally, I really liked, I actually used a bunch of old Hammer squats models to make like it was originally a Venator gang, and now I gotta kind of like adjust them for making them into actual squats. But the idea would be like, they're kind of a gang that isn't necessarily into the mining side of things, so they're not wearing mining gear. They're wearing more kind of casual clothing. It's not as bulky, so they're like a little bit teensier. And then I also I really like there are some really solid 3D printable like squat bikes, and like I was saying before, I found like a dwarf armored personnel carrier STL file that I 3D printed, and it was it worked really well for kind of having a thematic thing. And I found a bunch of kind of space dwarf looking terrain pieces and that kind of thing for making my friends' gangs hideout and stuff. So there's definitely a lot of when you're looking at kind of dwarf aesthetics, there's a lot of different takes on it, especially in the kind of third party realm. Like I know Mantic has a dwarf line, space dwarf line that you could definitely find some usable stuff in there. Like I think they've got bikes or tri-wheel vehicle things.
Yeah, the old squat model. Because I was going to say you could use the whole original squat from like third or fourth edition. I forget when they got discontinued, but you could use those old models and they would work perfectly as well.
And they're not always as crazy expensive as you would think for like old discontinued models. I found, if you watch eBay, you can kind of find decent prices on them, especially when it's a pack of like 2 or 3 models in a blister. You can get a decent price. And also old plastic Warhammer dwarves are, that sort of like old aesthetic, if that's what you wind up going for, are pretty compatible with the squat range, the old squat range as well.
Definitely.
All right. Well, that covers all of our main topics. If you guys want to give any... Oh, go ahead.
Yeah. No, that's on my end.
Oh, sorry. Your audio is just keeps going haywire.
I think I would, yeah.
But,
yeah, other buffer. It's something. Sorry.
So what I was gonna say is, if you guys want to give any shout outs before we go, Shane, how about you?
Yeah, like I said, running the tank hunter. So if you want to see a lot of just 40k done where we focus really on tanks, I go through a lot of other comparison videos and sort of vehicle related content for 40k. So yeah, find me on Tank Hunter Miniatures,
and I'll have a link to that down in the show notes. Perfect.
Yeah, it's been great to talk about dwarves. I've missed them so much.
All right, thanks so much. And Caolan, how about you? Anyone you want to give a shout out to?
Yeah, if I can soft the store out there, and he's our local gaming center as well. He's been great for supporting us and getting everybody back into it, and he's our local retailer as well, so big shout out to them.
What was the name again? That part cut out.
Waterford Airsoft.
Waterford Airsoft. All right. Thank you guys for coming on, and yeah, I'm sure we'll talk again in the future. Thanks as always to Carl Casey at White Bat Audio for the show's music. And of course, thank you to my patrons. You guys make everything I do here possible. You are fantastic human beings. Thank you. And if you would like to help support the show for as little as $2 a month, hop on over to patreon.com/domerunners, and you too can become a supporter. And of course, don't forget to check out the podcast, domerunners.buzzsprout.com, or iTunes, Google Play, Spotify. And of course, everybody out there, please stay safe and don't forget to change your paint water.